Hello, today I'm going to be taking a look at Batman, the Super Villains edition of Talisman. This is from USApoly, and if you are unaware of their work, they've had a previous Batman game, amongst other things. But this is essentially a reskin of an old Games Workshop game. An old Games Workshop game from many moons ago. It's a chase game. So the idea behind it is you are all competing to get from the outer edge of the board to the inner track. So you've got like 3 tracks. And when you get there, if you've collected the right gear along the way, you'll be able to get something. So in the original Talisman, it was the Crown of Command, which gave you great bonuses, which was handy because once you got it, you had to get out again. And at that point, everybody on the board is now against you to stop you escaping with it. So for the Super Villains edition, let's try and unfold this thing. It's a beast of a board. Okay, this is our outer track in this sort of bluish filters. Then we've got an inner grey track, and then our middle track is grey, and then the inner one is this amber sort of ochre colour. So as you can see, as you go through it, some of the areas will have specific things on them. So this is the prison yard. A riot breaks out amongst yourself and the inmates. Roll 1 die for you and 1 for each of your followers. If you roll a 1 or a 2, you lose 1 health, and if a 1 is rolled for a follower, it is killed. So you've got these little interruptions. Now, in Talisman, in the original Talisman, I'm going to have to keep saying the original Talisman because I don't know what this one plays like yet. I haven't looked. In the original Talisman, you could go left or right. So that's the size of our board. It's quite cute. So every turn you got to choose, which meant if you were attempting to escape, you could try and dodge around people, or if there was something coming that you knew was a particularly tough part to get past, you could just go around it that way. So our game board, good quality, nice thick cardstock. You also get these sheets of tokens. Well, these are actually health, cunning, and strength. So these are little trackers for your individual players to keep track of their stats, their scoreline with. Nothing on the back. No, nothing on the back. So 6 heads-up displays, 1 for each player maximum. We have a sheet of tokens. These scratched out coins, which is a nice touch. So that's our Harvey Dent reference. They're your fate coins, which allows you to re-roll a dice roll. Not sure what these are used for. They might be your follower tokens, they might be trackers of something. We'll see. We have the Talisman book. Love the artwork. So here we go. The object of this game is to sneak through Arkham Asylum, reach the security control room at the top of the guard tower, subdue Batman. So in the original Talisman, it was a dragon. In this, you've Batman waiting for you at the top. Turn off the security systems, get the key and leave. So that'll be interesting. Up to 6 players can play. The more players that participate, it will go on longer. And there are alternative rules if you want to play a longer game of Talisman, like the traditional game. So the starting is a sort of a beginner's version or a quick play version if you don't want to spend the time to go through the whole thing. We have encounter cards, security key cards, purchase cards, feat cards, your figures and cards, alignments and coins, they're all fine. We have dice and stat dials, we'll see them all eventually. Here's how you set up a game. So it's fairly self-explanatory. You have your game board with the decks that people draw from. Then with your own character, you have that little dashboard for your 3 stats, any fate or coins that you have, plus any equipment that you've managed to lay your hands on. So this would be what you're looking at each. goes through the game turn, through the combat between characters, followers, objects and feats. Here we have our additional rules, so these are if you're starting to get into slightly more long play version of the game. And then the alternative rules if you want to play the traditional version. So based on the revised 4th edition of the game. And then at the end we have our Talisman encounter sequence, so a flowchart of what happens. If you wish to use any feats before moving, you do so, then you move. Are there any characters in the space? What to do if you find them? Where to go to? It pulls you all the way through, and when you're done, that's your character's turnover and somebody else takes over in place of you. It looks a bit complicated, but it's fairly simple when you start going down through it. And once you've played a few games of Talisman, you can pretty much do away with this. That's just there to guide you through your initial games. So, that being said, let's have a look at what you get in the actual box. Okay, so we get a bag of miniatures. Let's see who we have. Okay, so looks like Mr. Freeze. Quite nice cast. Shame he doesn't have a little bubble helmet on him, but he can have everything. We have the Penguin. Pronounced nose and umbrella. Looking very much like the original 60s series Penguin, which I prefer. We have Clayface, Spike Mace and Sledgehammer. We have a Bane. Detail on Bane is a little soft around the face. I can just barely see what should be the outline of his mask there. But there's nothing on the other side to counter it. In fact, it looks like it's just a plain mask with eye holes in it. You can't really see the detail there at all. But these are board game pieces rather than miniature pieces. Harley Quinn, rocking a mall. More of the Arkham Asylum computer game version than the original cartoon Harley. That's interesting. I don't recognize her. She's bandages on her face, which leads me to believe it's like Hush, except Hush isn't female, unless it's a new comic that I haven't got to yet. And the crescent moon there at the end is very sort of Court of the Owls. I'm sure we'll find out in a moment who she is. We have Poison Ivy, reclining in a plant. It's quite nice. We have Harvey Dent, who presumably is tossing a coin there. It looks like he's balancing some sort of worm on his hand, but I'm assuming that's the little swoosh that has been drawn in as he flips the coin. Fair enough. I assume they were trying to put a bit of motion into it. It just looks weird. Worm balancing. It's all the rage with the kids. We have Edward Nygma. There's been a bit of strain on his staff. You can see the actual mark there. Problem with them all in one bag, being slammed around in the post. We have Scarecrow, Ra's al Ghul, the Joker wielding a crowbar. Oh dear, I feel the death of a Robin coming on. And we also have the Batman himself. It's a really nice dynamic pose there. As if he's just landed, to see that the Joker has beat the ever-living head out of one of his boy wonders. You get 6 big chunky dice with the bat symbol. Bat symbol in place of the 1. I never understand why people do that. I always think it would make more sense to be in place of the 6. Although I suppose in this one, because it is the villains, maybe they don't want to see the bat symbol come up. We have Talisman coins. They are just the regular Talisman coins. Nothing Batman-y about those. You get the clips to make your dials on your little HUDs. And then we get our cards. So, okay, Batman. Artwork's lovely, as you would imagine. And as you can see, he progresses in strength depending on the floor you're on. If you defeat Batman in combat, you gain fate, coin, health, blah 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 blah. And he starts in the guard post. Our heroes, we get the Joker, Scarecrow, Harley Quinn, Edward, Penguin. See what I mean about the mask not being on the miniature? Two-Face, Raz, Clayface, Poison Ivy. Ah, the Joker's daughter. Okay, fair enough. I'm aware of her work, I've just never read anything with her. And Mr. Freeze with his glass dome on. So that's your character cards. You also get encounters. So 3 sets of encounter cards. So depending on which floor you're on, you'll have to open one or other of these. We'll open the first and we'll keep the other 2 decks as a surprise in case people are playing at home. Because nobody wants their surprise ruined. Not when Batman's there to ruin it for them. Okay. So encounter cards, feats, a lot of feats, and your security key cards, and your purchase. So this is the deck you need for, I believe, the outer floor. You can see you get things like patrol schedule, so you don't lose health in the patrolled corridor. Quite a few of those. Lockpick, giving you a +1 in combat. Not sure how. Perhaps you stab it in people's eyes. Helmet. If you're defeated in strength combat, roll a health dice. If you roll a 6, the helmet protected you and you don't lose any life, although you still lost the combat. And these are the sort of things you need to collect as you proceed, because it is almost impossible to get to the inner control room without them. And certainly if you get into the inner control room, if you get to the top without having sufficiently picked up upgrades along the way, then you'll find that you're beaten down by Batman very quickly. Loot bag's important. You can normally only carry 4 pieces of loot, or 4 objects rather. So in this case you can carry additional. If you lose the bag, then you lose your surplus, but it means you've got more equipment, more tools in your arsenal to try and defeat the cowardly Batman and escape. And really at the end of the day, in Arkham Asylum, the Batman should be the one staying there. All the rest of you are just victims of circumstance. So that is the supervillain edition of Talisman from USApoly. Have you played Talisman yourself? Or if you're a Batman fan and you haven't, is this something you consider picking up? Why not let me know below?
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.